we grew up the same. We grew up in the same neighborhood. Or maybe we're both broke together and complaining together. Or maybe like we were out on the streets talking about starting real estate and now they're like, 12 doors down or whatever. What are the things that they may be doing differently that you may not be because you're trying to have your cake and eat it in a way that does not work? That's what you're going to learn from this episode. Have you ever wondered how it looks like some people are just killing it? Like maybe you started out together at the same time in whatever journey this is, especially as it relates to your finances, and it looks like they're killing it. I don't know about you, but maybe you had that person where you're like, but we grew up the same. We grew up in the same neighborhood. Or maybe we're both broke together and complaining together. Or maybe like we were out on the streets talking about starting real estate and now they're like, 12 doors down or whatever. What are the things that they may be doing differently that you may not be because you're trying to have your cake and eat it in a way that does not work? That's what you're going to learn from this episode. Welcome, guys. I'm Dr. Latifat. For those that haven't met me yet, I'm a physician and also the founder of MoneyfitMD. Everything that we do here is helping women physicians create wealth and grow their money from the inside out. So the episode that I'm recording today was as a result of just sitting down and thinking about the fact that, there are always those people and at every point in time, you may be one of the people that's watching. You may also be one of the people that's been watched. But you literally are like, how did this happen? How did this person become that? I think back to even when I finished fellowship. You finish fellowship, everybody and their mamas got debt, got loans. And now maybe you're like, how were you able to take off time, quit your W-2 job, travel to 20 countries with 3 kids? Like, we were broke together. Well, I decided to say goodbye to the brokey life. That's how that happened. But the key is, though, on a more serious note, every single season of life, you're always going to see people that are doing things differently. And the goal is not to compare. The goal is not to have dissatisfaction with your own life. The question becomes like, what are those things, like success leaves clues? What are those things that maybe they're doing that you're not aware of, or maybe they're not aware of? And how can that translate? Because when you know the recipe, then you know how to create the same result in your own life or whatever the equivalent is. I'm recording this on a Sunday, and one of the things that I do on Sundays is get prepped for the week. You're like, okay, how are we going to do? What we're going to eat? Not really have a strict food schedule, but just getting a good idea of what are our options so that during the week, we're not like scratching our head and then thinking we don't have a choice but to eat out. There's nothing wrong with eating out. We eat out. I just got some, Thai a couple of days ago. Like, you can eat out if you want to, but with everything that I do, I talk about the importance of spending in a way that's in line with your values and what your own rich life is. For me, I've defined that living my rich life is about enjoying the experience of eating out when I choose to eat out, but not eating out of necessity. So what I'm doing on Sundays is a way of prepping to do that. There is a website or a blog that I really, really like. This lady's amazing. It's called Once Upon a Chef. She has great recipes. Definitely go check it out. And one of the things she does is she makes them so easy, so simple. Follow the recipe. And I'm literally making like Italian food. I'm making like Asian food. I'm making foods I've never tasted before and all this other amazing stuff. And it's not because I have a degree in cooking or I took a class in whatever. It's because I'm following the well laid out recipe and instruction. So I know that if I go there and I follow, she says, use this step 1, step 2, step 3. I usually cut out the sugar in most of the things that I'm cooking anyways, because I think too many things are too sweet. And I'm like, if it's not going to change the quality, why am I doing all that? But the bottom line is, the more closely I follow her recipe, the more amazing my food is going to be. I look at the reviews. I check to see if anyone has extra tips, like, substitute this for this. That's too much salt, like whatever. So at the end of the day, I follow her recipe and I follow the feedback of some of the people that are in the comments. And what I found is this. It has led to deliciousness in deliciousness. I mean, I don't use her blog all the time, but when I do use it to create the recipes that I create, it is amazing, right? And so I want us to start thinking about success that way, meaning that there are laid out recipes for success. So if you're someone that you're wondering how one person is creating an outcome that's different from you, or why specific things in your finances, your money and your wealth building is not changing, then this episode today is really gonna help you, because it's gonna address the 4 ways that maybe you've been trying to eat your cake and also have it too. On a side note, I'm for we can do a lot of things. We can have amazing things, right? I can spend money and invest. I can eat out and have a great life. I can, there's that yin and yang to balancing of life. However, I want to be very, very clear that there are some things that are just principles. Like if you don't go to med school, you ain't gonna be a doctor. Like no matter how much hope and faith and anything you have, you need the actions, you need the moves, right? So let us go into what those things are that I want to share with you today that I truly believe is going to be a potential game changer that will help you, okay? The number one thing is this. If you don't change the input, don't be surprised when the output is not changing. What do I mean by that? So if you look at your finances and things are the way that they are the way they've been. Maybe every month you get paid, maybe you get paid twice a month or once a month as an employed physician. Or if you have your own practice, maybe you're paying yourself every 2 weeks or once a month. But then when you take your money, you're living life, maybe you got kids and there's the expenses of life. You're doing the things that your money is doing. Maybe you're not really into your finances and telling your money where to go. And then you're getting to the end of the month and you're starting to hold your breath a little bit because you're like, okay, when is the money going to come? And when is the next check going to come? When is the next check going to come in? Right? And then that has been happening. That was happening last year. It happened in January, February, March. And now it's a different year and the same thing is happening. And you're want things to change. You cannot wait for things to change, but things are not changing. Maybe this is why. Your input is matching your output. What is coming in minus what's going out is coming out to your cash flow. But if you're not changing what the input is, then your net at the end of the month is looking the same. You're not changing what your output is. You're not making moves. You're not changing your behavior. And then you're hoping that things will be different. It's not going to change. And that is not just when it comes to your cash flow only. Maybe you're looking at your net worth and things are not really changing. In fact, I remember a physician that had reached out to me and we ended up working together who was my investments are not growing. It feels like no matter what I'm doing, my net worth is not growing. And my question was this, if you think about your investments like a stove, is the stove on or is the stove off? Right? And she was I don't know. I put money in it. I think she was using Schwab or, Vanguard or Fidelity or one of those. And she's I said, what are you doing? What have you told that money to go do for you? And for her, she ended up looking and she was oh my goodness, it was just sitting down the money market account, not doing anything. The beautiful part of that is she realized what the problem was, changed that, so a different kind of input, and now her output is changed where her net worth has now been growing. Of course, the market does what it does, but overall, the market grows over an aggregate period of time. So for her, changing the input, doing something different, changing the action that she was taking created a different outcome. So if things are not changing for you, if you're looking at, your twin sister, it may be because you are not changing the input. And so the output is the same. We cannot wish that away. It doesn't work that way. I wish it did. I wish I could blink my eyes and my bank account could go up too. But the bottom line is this. If you are not changing things, things will not change. That's how this works. And the beautiful part of this is this. Once you start to recognize, once you start to figure it out, you can now start changing things and then you get a different result. So change the input, change the output, right? And I know that many times we want the certain way. Like we want to make no mistakes at all. And there are ways that you can decrease error. There are ways that you can learn from those that have gone before you by being in the right community, by getting a mentor, by getting a coach and all of that stuff. However, nobody knows the exact thing that's going to happen in future. People ask me questions like, oh, what's the interest rate going to be? Should I I'm like, nobody knows. All we're doing is guessing, making best educated guess at best. Like anybody that tells you that they know for sure, they're lying. They don't know. Yes, we can look at history. Yes, we can hope. But at the same time, do we know for certain that a month from now, the interest rate is going to be 5%? Nobody knows that. Nobody does. And if you know someone that knows, maybe they need to be like making a heck of a lot of money, making that their business, right? But the bottom line is we can make educated guess, but you cannot be so scared of making mistakes that you end up stuck. You cannot be so scared of what if it does not work that your status quo becomes your best case scenario. Because you're not only losing the potential money you could make, you're also making it hard for those that are around you that could benefit from you being that different version of yourself. As your net worth continues to grow, you're literally limiting their ability to be able to benefit from that from you. Okay, so that's number one. Is you change the input, the output is going to be different. Okay, number two is this. Kind of feeds a little bit into up one, but I want to be very, very clear about two. It's like your habits are the same and you're hoping for a different response or different outcome. Your habits are the same. So when you think about your finances, like when I take a look at my, this is my phone, I may want to look at my net worth or whatever, look at my cash flow. I can, scan in and take a look at those things. What I have in my account, what my net worth is the result of the habits that I've created or not created. If the habits that I have is ignoring my finances, then my cash flow, my net worth is also going to be ignoring me too, right? If you're someone that spends mindlessly, the outcome you're going to get is going to look like that. I always tell people that money thrives well by partnering with someone that is sitting in their own power and badass like you, making the decisions as the CEO of her life and telling money what to do so that you guys can partner together. And the way that is reflected is by the actions you take or not take. There are many times when people would tell me things like, when it comes to their spending, that we're hoping they would invest more than maybe they had in the past. And I always tell people that, people talk about savings. There's nothing wrong with savings, but I don't believe that saving is how you create wealth. Saving helps you save, and there's a small room for saving. However, investment is how you grow your net worth. So one of the things that I tell people is when they're like, well, Latifah, there's just stuff happening. Maybe you're the first in your family to be a physician. Maybe there's just so many people that need things from you. So when the money comes in, it looks like there are more places for it to go than the number of armies you got working for you, where each dollar is an army. And so people are like, I wanted to invest, but I couldn't find a way to get the down payment to buy the property. Or I wanted to invest this amount in the stock market, but I could not get the amount to happen. Or I wanted to invest in this number of syndications, or maybe invest in a business, whatever that vehicle is. When you're like, I don't have the money to invest, the question I usually ask people is, have you actually taken the action to invest? And many times people would go, well, I was hoping I would have money left so I could save it to invest. And what I tell people is that your investment, in my opinion, should be the first step in your spending. So if you are a W-2 employee, one of the things the government does is they don't trust you with their money. So they tell your employer, and even if you're W-2 in your own business, like your own S-Corp, they think about the taxes before they hand you your money, right? And the reason why is the government is like, I know people. And when I let people take their money home, they start spending, and now they don't have money for me, IRS. So the IRS doesn't even trust you with your own money. And so if the IRS thinks that they're important enough to come out of your income first, Why don't you place yourself at least at the level of the IRS or even before the IRS and start shifting your money and moving it out from your own view so that you can start to invest? Right? Because your net worth does not grow at the level at which you're able to save. Your net worth grows at the intensity and consistency with which you invest. If you don't invest first, you are literally, don't be surprised when you end up not investing, period. So the habits you have has to match with the outcome you're trying to create. I cannot tell you that I want to get 6 packs and all you do is see me eating crap all the time and never working out. And then I act shocked because I got 1 pack, not 6 pack, right? But listen, y'all, the struggle's real, but we ain't going to act like we're confused or unaware, because this is how it works. If you change the habit, you change it. You change the result. And I get it that habits can be a little bit hard, but our lives become the result of the habits we create or not create. And if you're not investing, that is a habit. If you're not negotiating ever, that's a habit. If you're undercharging for the services you're providing, that's a habit. So don't be surprised when at the end of the month, at the end of the year, at the end of whatever, your numbers and numbering, your math and mathing. This is why, right? So if you want to change the outcome, you change the results. You change the habit. And if you look at the people that maybe you're seeing as examples of what's possible, that are maybe inspiring you from a distance or close by, you pay attention to the habits. Like one of the things I talk about is, people say things like, well, there are things that I want to do and I'm not doing them. I say, let me look at your calendar. They're like, why? I'm like, let me look at your calendar. You showed up to clinic and saw your patients because it's on your schedule. You took your kids to the dentist because it's on your schedule and he deemed it important enough to put on your schedule. So where on your calendar is your money? Where is your money date with yourself? Where is your money date with your spouse? If that is not there, don't be confused when y'all are like speaking different languages. And I'm not saying this because I'm perfect. I'm telling you this because it works. These things work. And when it's not working, then what part of it are you not working? That's literally it. Okay. And then the third part is this. What are you believing, or what is your attitude around that thing? So I talk about money. I talk about wealth. I talk about creating your rich life. We all have baggage. My money baggage is my money story. They are the things that I've brought through life, brought into the current life that I live right now, and it shows up in the result that I create. It shows up in my business. If I believe that people want help with getting their finances in order, with curating their rich life, with being able to create financial liberation, grow their wealth, if I believe that those people are out there, I am more likely to go out there and help the people. But if I believe nobody wants this, nobody needs this, nobody's going to be willing to pay for the service, guess what? It's going to affect how I show up. I'm recording this today because I believe there are people out there that would benefit from this. And if you're listening right now, whether you're listening on YouTube or you're listening on the podcast, I would love it if you took like 30 seconds and either leave a comment or leave a review on the podcast, wherever you're listening. And the reason why I say that is because, number one, it helps other people find us. And if I believe that this work that has changed my own life and changed the women physicians that I've had the honor and privilege of working with, I can now get that information to your hands so that you too can live your own rich life. It is so worth it, right? And so when you leave a comment, it helps other people see us and also lets us know that, you're getting it, it's helping you. And then also helps us create more content like this. And it's a feedback loop, right? If you say it's helping, we create it. If there's something else you want that could help you or a topic you want us to cover, definitely let us know as well. I'm happy to help you, make sure we address that part of your needs. But the reason why I bring that up is you can see how my belief shows up in the things that I do, and that shows up in the results that I create. There are times when people would create products or services and they start to doubt whether it's going to help someone or not. Especially if you've done the initial evaluation, you know there's a need for it and that's why you've created it. Maybe it's something that could have helped your past self. And now you're providing that as a service or as a product, but now you're at the marketing stage. You're now all your brain drama is coming to fight you and tell you nobody wants this. No one is going to do it. No one's going to pay you for it. No one's going to pay this amount of money for it. And now you're starting to second guess and be more like double minded when it comes to whether you want to actually offer it for people to pay you or not. You can see how now the beliefs you have, the stories you have, and definitely will show up in your energy, in your attitude, and also in your outcome. So if you don't like the results that you're seeing in your finances, you want to ask yourself that questions like, what am I believing right now? Or what attitude am I having right now that is showing up on paper in my net worth, in my numbers, in my earnability, in my spending, in my investment, in how I'm paying off my debt and all that stuff. Maybe you're thinking like you're not good enough. Maybe you're thinking that, I used to think that I was not good at money. I used to think that my job was to earn and it was someone else's job to manage it until I had someone else manage it and they were doing a pretty crappy job. And which I'm like, maybe I can do this. I'm a little bit smart. Maybe a lot smart. And if you're watching this, you're smart too, right? And it's not about perfectionism. There's nothing wrong with having a team-based approach, but you're still the CEO of your life. Nobody can be more invested in your finances like you. And especially if you're earning most of your money by exchanging your money for your time for money, no one is there with you when you're doing one more chart that you don't really want to do. Nobody is there with you when you're literally sitting down and going, how did I end up here? Like you're literally like, sit down for a moment and actually count how many hours you're spending doing the work that is making you money. And I'm talking to especially those of you guys that are exchanging money for time 100% at this season of your life. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I want you to think about the fact that maybe in an average week, you're spending like 50 hours working. 50 hours. And then look at how many hours you're spending sleeping and calculate the percentage of your life that maybe in a year, in a month, let's just start with a month. Okay. So for example, you're spending 50 hours working clinically, and we're not talking about the mental time you're spending thinking about work while you're not working. Let's just think about the time you're extending for money 1-to-1 ratio. So let's say 50 hours per week. Look at what percentage of your week hours of your life that is, and now do that per year and see the percentage of your waking hours that you're spending earning money. And now take all that money, which is equivalent to all of that life, hand it to someone and trust that you know them enough, you trust them enough, they are invested in you enough more than their own paycheck. And see whether that makes sense for you or not. That was the trigger that got me to like, oh my goodness, I have to stop paying attention. And even if I'm going to have an accountant, I'm going to have if I'm going to have a tax strategist, if I'm going to have a financial advisor, like I cannot be replaced because I have to live that rich life, not in ignorance, not in assuming that they have the best interest for me, but in knowing that they truly are doing and having the best interest for me in this season and beyond. And it takes partnership. In fact, it's not fair for you to leave that up to them and let them be guessing what is important to you. You can tell them, but you need to be there. Your brain is like one of the best brains in the world. The things you do every day, like not a lot of people can do it. And to now take that brain and not put it into your own wealth is literally like me having the best painkiller with no side effects and deciding that I am not going to use it when I have a headache. Make it make sense to me, sweetie. Make it make sense. It doesn't. I agree. So that number 3 point is, what belief or attitude are you not changing? Are you holding on to so dearly because you think that's the only way, or you're so afraid of shaking your foundation that you're unwilling to be humble enough, you're unwilling to to go through the transient discomfort that is going to be required in order for you to be able to create the change. Like, you can't want change and not change, because the beliefs you have, the attitudes you are creating the status quo. So if you want things to change, this is how it changes. This is how it changes, literally. And then number 4 is this: your response has been the same. Your response to stimuli has been the same. So I'll give you an example. I'm a GI doctor. I'm so grateful for the work that I get to do. I love the work that I get to do most times, most days. And because I'm doing it by choice, I have so much, even increased joy in it. Like, I get to serve my patients. And so, I'm doing procedures, I'm doing colonoscopies, and I'm skilled at it, right? Of course, I will only continue to get better, but I'm skilled at what I do. And I'm so grateful to God for that. There are times when maybe I'm doing a colonoscopy, I'm in there, and maybe I see a polyp, and the location of the polyp will change relative to where my camera is positioned, how I'm rotating my camera, the maneuvers that I'm making, and all that stuff. And there are times when I'll give an example, like a couple of days ago, and this is not something that is rare or unique. This is something that every GI doctor will get. Like a couple of weeks ago, I was taking out a polyp. It was a pretty good polyp. And I'm like doing it, trying to take it out. And I keep trying, but we have different techniques and tools that we use. And one of them is like a snare. So I'm trying to put a snare, which is like, think about a lasso. You put a lasso around something and like you snag it, and like shave it off and cut it out and you bring it out of the colon. And so here I was like trying to lasso, and it was just like at a weird angle. I like to take out the polyps as a whole when possible. So I'm trying to put the lasso, I'm trying to do the snare, and it's just not, I was not satisfied enough to cut it. And I realized that I was doing the same thing over and over again with that same polyp. And I'm like, Latifah, you can't keep doing the same thing and expecting a different result, right? So I had to like change what I was doing, change my position, and like move things around, change my torque. If you're looking at me on video right now, you probably see me like twisting my head, because that's what we're doing in procedures, right? So here I am like twerking my twerking my twerk. Okay, sorry, y'all. Here I am, twerking the thing, trying to get the polyp. And then it was not until I'm like, okay, Latifah, you have to change your approach so that you can create something different. And so when you bring this into money and finances, what I find is that so many times we have the blessing, because I think that challenges can be a blessing. You have the blessing of having a challenge, but your response to it continues to be the same thing that landed you in the position you were in before. So let me give you a specific example. Maybe you, every time you get your paycheck, right? You have people that come in to ask you for stuff. You do your giving. Maybe you have kids, you're paying your college education, university, elementary school, whatever place your kids may be. And now you're at a place where you're seeing that every month your cash flow is the same, but you want your cash flow, which is what's coming in minus what's going out, you want it to increase. But every single month you're looking at your cash flow, it's the same every single month. And every single month it's the same. And you're like, I want my cash flow to get better. And every single month it's the same. Last month the same, this month the same, next month the same. You can see how you had a data, but your response to the data has not changed. You're doing the same response to what is happening, right? Another example of that is maybe you're someone that you want to negotiate your income, but every single time you meet with the powers that be, they say something, you don't get what you negotiated. And that's been happening many times over the last 10 years, but you keep doing the same thing. The outcome is still the same thing, but you're not responding to the outcome by trying a different strategy. That is why skills are so important. Skills are important. There was a woman physician that joined our community who, when she joined, she said she had not negotiated her salary in 10 years. She wished she would. She wishes she got paid more for the immense value that she was creating, but she was not changing her response to the data that she had. And y'all know I'm not about that life. So literally within 2 weeks I've been in our community, she negotiated for the first time in 10 years. First time in 10 years, we see people negotiate all kinds of things. It's crazy how much you can earn more without changing the hours you work, just by negotiating differently, by getting and understanding the value you're adding, by being confident enough that you are deserving based on the work you're doing. I don't talk to people that are lazy or slackers. I'm talking to people that are like badasses and would be their own, like you would be a blessing to your family members if you treated your patients, if you treated your family members the way you're treating your patients. So those are the people that I'm talking about. I'm talking to right now. And so we have people like, even I negotiate. I have people that are like, Latifah, I negotiated because even though the initial offer was good, I knew that if I did not negotiate, you are going to give me that face that I don't like to see. And so I negotiated. And as a result, I'm making way more than I've ever made in my entire life as a primary care doctor. I will make that face in a heartbeat. If that means you getting paid more, sign you up, sign my face up for that. Right? So the bottom line though is like, if your response to the response is the same, then nothing is going to change. So many times, and I get it, sometimes we feel stuck. That's literally why we started doing our money challenge for women physicians. It's a money moves challenge for women physicians. We run it once every couple of weeks. It's like the most amazing thing you can do with your time, and investing a little bit of money into your own future by participating in it. But it literally used to be 5 days. Now it's 3 days based on feedback. We're always improving. And it is literally a way of helping women physicians that are in a rut or feeling stuck get unstuck, get from being overwhelmed to actually taking actions and making moves that's going to lead to better results for them when it comes to their finances. So I get that sometimes you're stuck. And if that's you, definitely you want to go check it out, moneyfitmd.com/FLP, so that you can sign up for the next time that we're doing it. We don't do it every week. We don't do it every month, but make sure you go sign up so that you can also learn and benefit from it. But the reason why we do that is so that we can help women learn and go through the training and learn the skills that it takes to change their response and get out of that stuckiness so that they can now start to change things. I am telling you guys, if you took one of those 4 things and asked yourself, how can I change my input? How can I change my habit? How can I change my belief or my attitude? And how can I change my response to the outcome, my response to the response? If you did that, you will start to realize that those people that are creating the success that you want to see, they don't have 10 heads. They don't have 10 years. Yes, they may have some privileges, but so do you. And there are some privileges that we're born into that we cannot change, but there are some privileges that we can also help ourselves become a part of and earn from and take advantage of, so that you can also become a bridge for other people. Everything that I do, guys, is so that I can be a bridge for women physicians. I want my privilege to be your privilege, because I don't believe in scarcity. I believe in abundance. So I learn, I invest so that you are part of my return on my investment. You are part of it. So I want you to start thinking about the way that you invest your time, your money, your own education, that those around you can become part of getting their return from your own investment. That way we just have this lit up world with just so much abundance and joy and giving and freedom and richness. And that's what I believe that life is supposed to be about. So anyways, I hope this has been helpful for you. Let me know if you're in YouTube right now and you're watching this show on YouTube. Let me know one thing that you are taking away from this, because guys, I do those videos because I want to give back. It's not giving back. I want to share, literally. I got the goodies. I want to share the goodies. So if you can take one thing from each video, each week, and integrate that into your life, guys, a year from now, you're going to be unrecognizable. You are going to be the inspiration that someone else is looking at in order to grow. And imagine when we all inspire each other, everything changes. So thank you for watching. I hope this has been helpful. Leave us a comment. Let us know one thing that you're taking and doing or learning differently as a result. And of course, make sure that you're subscribed and following this page so that next time we release something else, you don't miss it, because your time is of value and there's so much stuff pulling your attention. The last thing you want to do is miss an episode from us. I love you guys so much. Thank you for being a part of my world, and I'll see you in the next episode. Goodbye.